Well, no, it's just a
My
joke about
drink
the
is on.
email being bounced.
Okay. All right. Hello again, everyone. 2 weeks it has been since Cohort 1. Lots has happened, I'm sure, for all of us. We don't have a schedule for this, or an agenda, I should say. So I figured let's just have a fun conversation about where everyone's at with their project and see what else we can talk about. The weather, preferably. Who wants to start? Who wants to kick it off? All of the good stuff and the bad stuff. We want to know it all.
I'll kick it off. I mean, my developer hit a snag for Babilbox, but so they're pushing the project out, which actually gave me time because I was working on another thing, and I actually just got somewhat of a working thing for this podcast automation tool that I was also going to include in the whole Engage Pad suite of like community tools. I could show you. I haven't even. I just opened it, and I don't know what it's going to do. I could.
Yeah, let's do it. Let's look at it. Live demo.
All right.
First time for you. That's even better.
Yeah, I have no idea what's going to happen here. All right, let me know if you guys are good.
Yep.
Yep.
All right. So, let's see. All right. So what this is supposed to do is you can search like podcasts. I think it's Indie Hacker. Well, it should come up. That's so sad. Oh, this guy. And it should bring up like their catalog here, and you could pick this. Make sure.
It's really the goal for this year is to hit the million AR. That's what we're.
And then you could schedule it. So this is supposed to link up to like your communities. It's supposed to dock into like, I just had it integrated with Slack. So I'm going to see what that does right now. So like you could schedule like this podcast to run like every week, or have this podcast upload daily, or like the newest content from the oldest content on certain days. So
So it's just kind of to share good content with your community kind of thing?
Yeah,
and
so you
pre-schedule that?
Yeah, so you don't have to really like go. It's just meant to free up time for the community manager to not to have to research so much and keep their audience engaged while they're doing other things. It's
Right.
just one other thing that they don't have to do. And that's like the whole concept of EngagePad, is just to automate as much as possible. Yeah, let me see it. So this is the new integration. So this should like ask me to like sign in to like my Slack. Let's see here. I have no idea what this is.
Working great, Steve.
Oh.
That should be fine, right?
Yeah.
It's just-
Should I just like click that?
yeah, I think it's just telling you that it's not, Slack is not reliable here,
Yeah.
kind of thing.
Okay, so I have too many. So I have too many apps already. I don't even know how to.
Oh, I see you also got the little here, your number 5 in your list of your Slack channels, the growth thing.
Oh, this one?
No, that from the top.
Oh, this one?
Yeah, that one.
Are you part of that one?
Yeah, someone added me. Someone found me on like the Doug or something, or Brad, I think it was.
Oh, cool.
He found me on Indie Hack. Yeah, in my Indie Hacker profile, wrote me an email and asked if I wanted to be in the community. I'm like, yeah, sure. And then I got kicked out 2 days ago with
What?
no warning, and I didn't even do anything. Like I barely even talked about anything in that community.
Oh my gosh.
I'm not sure what happened. I wrote him an email and like, what happened? What did I do?
That's odd, because that's yeah.
It's weird.
Yeah. I don't know what to do here. So, I mean, essentially, it would dock into here, and then I could essentially.
So is there a limit on the amount of apps that you can use on a community edition of Slack? And there must be. That must be
Like
what the 10 limit
yeah,
is.
like the free edition. So I don't even know what those apps are that I have.
Well, you might have it open that members can add apps.
Yeah.
So they might have just filled it up.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, so that's that. I mean, it was supposed to, I was supposed to like schedule a podcast to a certain channel within my community, and it would just automatically upload to that channel.
And can you
And
add?
then send a message to the channel?
Right.
Well, whoever is in that channel would get a message indicating that something was uploaded, I guess. Yeah.
But can you add like something customized to it? Like where it comes from your or from this app, but something like, hey, indie hackers or growth marketers. Did he leave? I think he left.
He had enough of your
Yeah.
feedback.
Yeah. I took that as a no, Steve.
Sorry. What were you saying?
No, just can you like add a message to, if it's to the Growth Hackers channel, for example, it's like, hey, Growth Hackers, check out this podcast. It's about X. I thought it would be valuable for you.
Well, it would be for, it would be if I own the community. I think it would only work that way.
Right.
So if I were to like upload it to like, if I had like a podcast channel within my community, but no, I don't think I could add like a custom message to it right now. It would just upload the podcast. Nothing else really.
Cool.
Yeah.
So Steve, it
wasn't-
sounds like Engage.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry, Sven, go
I
ahead.
think you're good. No, I think you're trying to say the same thing.
Oh, I was going to say, so it looks like EngagePad is the umbrella product offering, right? And then Babilbox is one of the features there that you'll be building out. Was originally was going to be independently here for what the cohort was, but now it'll just be a part of that.
Yeah.
Product.
Yeah. Just to simplify it, I mean, I'm really indecisive about how I want to approach it. Like, do I want Babilbox to be the initial product and then eventually put everything under EngagePad later on? Would that cause confusion, brand wise? But I mean, it's up in the air for me. And I would like to just, it's probably smarter of me just to put everything, release everything as its own separate tool right now. And then build it out that way. And then put everything under EngagePad later on.
So was that the main focus for the last couple of weeks, or did you make any? Oh, you said you ran into a snag with Babilbox, right? So no
Yeah,
significant progress there.
yeah, it was technical. So they just had to postpone a release for it. So and then within that, I'm gonna get everything all together so it's ready to go. So I have a landing page, I have a Stripe feature set and subscription tiers set up behind that landing page. So it's everything is just set up and ready to go. In terms of like users having the ability to sign up for 14-day trial, and then from there see what kind of growth I can get going, and see what kind of information I can get from people just signing up and getting them into the platform.
Cool.
Yeah, so that's the next step. Just having everything all together. Just a full-fledged SaaS product. Just ready to go.
So, general question, I noticed that you guys like the indie hackers community a lot, and I've gone through your posts and sort of your campaigns and so on, and I see that there is really a lot of people trying to put out what they're building, right, for feedback and signups and so on. But is that in your experience a good way to expose your what you're building to a larger audience? I'm asking this because Twitter finally, it kind of worked for me, maybe on my pivot. It's working out, but it's a very different beast, right? I need to figure the Twitter thing out first. But I see the indie hackers also as a potential target audience. So what's your experience there? I'm curious.
Yeah, I think for what you're working on, that's an interesting question. I'm curious to see what I guess primarily also Steve thinks. Because it depends on what you're building, very much so, I think, right? Because if you're building something, like I think that the new like super hype thing is no code, right? So everyone who's building something with no code gets like a lot of traction. So I talked to Dennis Lin this week, for example, and he got a lot of feedback already, or just a lot of people reaching out to him because he posts a lot about building with Bubble, right? And that's like it's a super popular tool right now. A lot of people using it to build stuff. So I think it really just depends on what your niche is or what you like to do, right? So I think you're more, and correct me if I'm wrong here, but you're more into and familiar and working with like the lower level kind of tools, like you're in Python, you're scripting, you're in the console, right? And I'm not sure. There are indie hackers like that, I'm sure, but I think a lot of, especially the newer generation, is higher level, like almost not coders. A lot of them not even coders, and kind of just self-taught coders or no coders. But that being said, like your audience does exist on Twitter for sure, right? It's like, not meaning this in any negative way, but it's like the way more nerdy ones, right? I think.
Right. Okay.
They would geek out over like what you just built, and I'll let you show it, of course, here in a minute. But like just rendering Wikipedia in the terminal, super cool.
Right. I see. Right. And so yeah, and I've also this is an interesting discussion. I think that I guess Python it lends itself to this scripting that you can share with the world. So GitHub, right? This type of idea that you put your code for others to build upon and contribute to it. So you really build in the open if you decide to go that way. And then I've been thinking, it's like, okay, that sounds like a tool that I would just share, let's say, with the world for them to use, right? With a, let's say, permissive license, whatever that is, right? Let's say open source type of license. But also, I also understand that there are ways to make a business with open source. So I guess it's an interesting debate. It's like, when do you open it up, or do you open it up at all? If it becomes a really good tool, I think the other way to see it is like, no one would pay for a Python script. But if you package it in the right way in a web interface, maybe there will be people willing to pay for that functionality that has been wrapped up in a nice way, right? with all, it is very well polished. It walks you through the process, as opposed to here's the tool, you figure it out. So it's an interesting, I guess, the thing to see and to figure out.
Yeah,
Well, I think you're on the right path there, Arky, because there's plenty of open source projects out there that, when they have the correct license, that allows it. People essentially take the existing code base and just repackage it with a much better and more efficient user interface and experience, and then sell it as a commercial product.
Right.
yeah.
Yep.
And if you stay on that track, right, with the stuff you're working on, I think, well, there's a couple ways to go about it, right? Like, so for example, when I built IndieBuddy last week, like I didn't actually intend to monetize that at all. Like, I mean, hopefully anything could be monetized, but less realistic, right? Especially if you build it in one day. So that was more of a brand building, a personal brand building thing for me, right? And I think that's what Twitter is good at too. If you so desire to kind of build your personal brand, that now you'll become known as, the AI script guy or whatever. That'd be a good Twitter name actually. And then you build a following through that, right? You give all this value. You have all of these little tools which you have fun building, and through that following, then whatever the bigger products you're working on, or those nice wrapped products, that's your funnel almost, right? Like, I think that's what works for a lot of the more successful indie hackers who have built the following on Twitter. Like, I think we talked about him before, Kenneth Castle. He's built out in the open. He's built this Vim course, and I think like some 80% or something of his traffic of paid users to his course come from Twitter.
Okay.
Right. So it all depends on what's kind of your ultimate goal, or how you want to achieve that goal, right? Like, if you want to even be known for that, right? Like, because you might not want to build a personal brand at all.
Right. Yeah. So maybe just now that we're talking about this, maybe I can tell you what happened with Umami, right? So I got 8 signups. So for 3 weeks I've been sending them the recommendations. The script works. I found bugs. Yeah, I have one that's a paid, quote unquote, right? Paid user. So I feel responsible for sending this at least to this person who actually put down some money, right, to get that thing. And now the interesting part is that's it. It's like it died as soon as I stopped the campaign. Nobody else came to Umami. So then I thought, okay, looking back, it's a dumb idea. I think I just wanted to build something, whatever, right? So I thought of the cohort as an opportunity to do it, but it was a great experience because I got to launch and I have 8 users that I need to send the recommendations. But having said that, then I started thinking, it's like, okay, how can I improve this, right? At the end of the day, I'm personally interested in getting good quality recipes. And the algorithm that I built in that month is very basic. So then I've been gathering data on recipes, but now the problem is, how do you distinguish between them? And it comes down to manual labeling of data, and that's the reason why I built this tool for myself, right? I wanted the lowest effort tool that could allow me to label the data. So maybe I'll share my screen and just show you. I cannot run this live because that's on a different environment, but I can show you a screenshot of it. And also this card thing, I'm a big fan of card. Can you guys see the screen?
Yeah.
All right, so maybe I'll make it full screen here. So I call it Shaku, right? I just wanted a short name. And so it's a document labeling from your terminal. I found this library in Python that is called Rich. And it lets you do really, like, think of it like GUI interfaces, but in your terminal. So these are kind of panels, right? And you can play with different elements. You have progress bars and so on. So I just wanted a tool that I could launch from my terminal where it allows me to define the categories, like in this case, barbecue, Italian, vegan, and pizza. Just I define them. But more importantly, the content, right? And this is just one example out of my data directory. It's the file 3 text. And then just at a quick glance, I just want to be able to label it, right? So with my keys, like left and right, I can pick the right label, click enter, and I go to the next document, right? So this is what I'm building. I'm also now I thought, okay, maybe sometimes you may want to label web pages. So I'm also bringing the web pages here. I have the basic functionality to do PDFs as well. So, and I just tweeted this, just I said, okay, I'll just tweet a screenshot of it, this one on Twitter. And then I just got some interesting retweets, right? And of course, now like a deeper look into it, I'll stop sharing, but a deeper look into the retweets, there are a lot of Twitter bots. And apparently that's a serious thing where they just retweet everything. And that's the way they grow and they build a Twitter base. Some of them were like this. Some of the retweets were legitimate, but I found that getting the right hashtags at the right time of the day, you get some visibility and traction. So I guess as you saw, the tool is super basic. It's for a terminal, but I thought, okay, if the functionality could be packaged in a web page for labeling. I mean, I'm not saying it's the same code, but the same idea. But instead of being in terminal, it's on a web page. Kind of you drag and drop your files, and then you start labeling, right? Maybe with a team of people, because labeling is an active effort of a team. So maybe allowing this multi-user, and I think that could be something, right? But again, I'm just exploring at this point in time, and I think as soon as I have a stable version, I'm just going to release it right on GitHub and just see what happens, right?
What's labeling? I don't know.
So labeling is think of it like if you want to let a computer do let's say you show it a document and you want the computer to tell you what it is without anyone looking at it, you need to teach the computer with examples, right, with labels, what things are. So for example, if you see a recipe of vegan, you label it as vegan. So that's a good example that the computer then can kind of build a model that, okay, if it's vegan, it excludes meat and all these elements, right? So so these are examples. So labeling is this activity of giving good examples to the computer.
Okay, so you're building a model so it can distinguish what that document is or is saying.
Exactly. So, or another example would be, right, if you look at I don't know, sports news, right? I guess news is the classic example. Mm-hmm. There you have different types of news, like sports versus politics and versus I don't know, like technology. So you need to give a few examples of each to the computer. So and then the computer will go and do its thing and realize that, okay, if it's sports, there are words like ball and player, and if it's politics, it's about I don't know, Congress and president, right? And then so the computer builds those models, but first you need to teach the computer what to look for. And this labeling piece is a very first step to build really reliable models for classification.
Okay, and you're trying to speed that process up, that labeling process.
Yeah, I wanted to make it easy and convenient.
Yeah. Okay.
And I thought the terminal for let's say a programmer, the terminal, it's the tool of choice. It's always there. So if you have 5 minutes to spare, you'll just launch it on your directory and start labeling. That's it. I wanted to make it easy and convenient.
Cool. Who do you think would want that? Like people who are into neural nets and stuff, or AI?
Right. Yes, that would be one audience. I think I thought of another type of audience is, I guess probably you guys have heard of the Amazon Turk, right?
Yeah.
So this kind of, is it crowdsourcing the word? Right? Crowdsourcing a task.
Okay.
Whether it be, you show them pictures and, find all the dogs. If it's a dog, label it as a dog. It contains a dog. This would be similar, but for documents.
Okay.
Right?
Cool.
So in this case,
it's interesting, right? Because for pictures, you have all of these captcha systems, which basically trick you into labeling their documents for them, and no one even knows that. But with documents, that's not so easy, right? You can't hide that in a reCAPTCHA. Like, oh, can you read through this text and tell me what this recipe is about? I mean, maybe actually, but so I think it's interesting. I think especially what you said about having an interface which lets, I mean, we're like, especially talking about big data sets here, right? Like, I think, or at least decent sized data sets. If you just need to label 5 files, then, who needs a tool? But if you're talking about, like 10,000 files, which you want to label to feed your, to have your base for your AI or for your machine learning algorithm, and you have 20 people, that'd be pretty cool, right? Maybe if you had a web version of this, you could even point it at an S3 bucket or at a Google Drive, or and you have like all these integrations where are your files, where's your documents, where's your document storage? Just point it at that, and then create an account and add all your people, and as soon as they log in, it's just like one task, right? Bam, bam, bam.
Oh, that'd be kind of cool. That like you load up all your documents, and people are just going in and clicking. It's just going into a different done bucket.
Right.
That'd be kind of cool.
Right. Kind of, to gamify it, right?
Yeah,
It's like unlock some data
Some-
labeling words.
Some catchy sound clips.
Right.
Yeah, this is interesting, Arki. I like it. Like, you're pivoting already. First of all, actually, personally, I think your first idea was not dumb. I actually do think there is value in that.
Yeah.
I really think I think there is a way to monetize it. I'm not sure exactly how, but I think people want recipe recommendations. I really do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And doing so in that way is such a unique way as well compared to what's available out there. That I was going to say the same thing. I share the same thought too that you had, Arki, is that, well, for this, I just wanted a project for something to work on for this cohort. And admittedly, mine is definitely, obviously, nothing unique and nothing special. I just wanted, again, an idea to build. But with yours, so we had the same mindset there, but with yours, I feel that it was a unique, good idea.
Thanks. So it's interesting feedback. Also, I think also part of me saying this is that the Instagram algorithms really put very serious restrictions on the API calls. And last week, I never had that problem before. Last week, when I was the bot was running, it was flagged as suspicious activity, and it sent me the how you call it, the 2-factor authentication. It was a big deal, right? They temporarily blocked the account because they flagged it as a suspicious activity going on. So it's I guess in the long run, it's not gonna fly there in that platform, just given the restrictions of it. So that's another reason why I decided, okay, maybe let's go into the maybe the more added value thing, which would be, for example, how to reliably recognize recipes, right? So that's in a way, I'm just moving away. I'll still send the recommendations to the guys who signed up, but I don't know. It's a work in progress.
Cool.
Yeah.
So with this now, well, actually, I'm getting to that after everyone gave an update. This is a different question. Justin, you already started talking about your project, so why don't you go ahead?
So just like I mentioned before last time too, or rather now a number of weeks ago, in between each week, I feel like it feels like a month. And now thinking back, since it was 2 weeks since we last met, it for me, it definitely feels like it's been 2 months. With that in mind, unfortunately, did not get 2 months of progress done. So just to echo, though, again, what I was mentioning earlier there, and what Arki was saying, for sure, my idea, nothing unique, nothing special. And it was just because I wanted an idea to implement for the cohort, right? So it's nothing that I'm extremely passionate about. But since I'm about 80% of the way through, even though I didn't launch within the cohort, I still want to launch. I think it'll be worthwhile, not even caring about a paying customer, just to again, finally, truly cross off, on the checklist that I actually launched the product. So still chugging away there. Unfortunately, the past full week that I planned on, I thought I'd be buttoning up here in the coming days, but this past week, other obligations and that through work took priority and was much more than expected. So I don't know, there's an excuse for everything, but as of right now, we're looking probably another week out, just to have the minimum functionality. And again, like I said, cross off the checklist, get it launched and out the door. So that's still the plan there. But also in the midst of this, and this came up during the cohort, I had come up already with another idea for a utility application for the Mac to help web developers. And I've actually already started just in the very, very basic sense working on that as well. So that will be my next project, but already excited to start working on that. But nothing really to demo here today. It's essentially the same, well, very close to the same status of what the project was in back 2 weeks ago in the last demo. But yeah, it's still going to be launching, and we'll be doing that in the coming couple of weeks.
What is the? Can you talk us through the web tool?
So with me, like in my day job, I typically always have to be doing things like either flushing the DNS cache on my computer if we're doing DNS changes, flushing in the browser cache, making edits to my host file entry. And then, so I do these 3 tasks quite a bit, and they and usually you have to go into the command line or into individual browsers and do things in a lot of manual operations. So here I want to make it so that on the Mac there's a menu bar item. You just click, and whatever you need to do, it's one click, and it executes whatever you need it to do. And then it figures, since it's web dev related, put in some other things there like a color picker and output the hex code or RGB values and a few other things like that. Just nice things that you want to real quick access to. That you don't do too often to where, or you do often enough to where you just want a quick one-click access to do. Like for me, like when testing things during the day, either flushing cache or making sure the DNS is cleared out and grabbing the latest, or making changes to the host file. I'm doing that day in and day out, and it just ends up being a lot to switch back and forth into either dedicated applications or like remembering what the terminal command is or whatnot. So here, just again, it's always there in your menu, and just click, done.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah.
There's another one I have for you. I don't know if that's a Mac specific problem, but the path variables. What a fucking pain in the ass, man. Like, it just, I don't know, maybe I just never use the tool. There's probably 20 out there for it, but every time, like especially if you live in a console, right? Like Arki said, if you install new stuff, like, I don't know, in Windows, it always craps out on me. Like, the path variables never work.
So that is a good idea. I didn't thought of that, but yeah, we could throw in an option there to at least actually have a nice GUI CRUD interface to manage
because
it all.
It's not a good interface. I don't know. Again, on Mac, I have no idea, but
you should check out Retool. Maybe you can build something quick in Retool. Like it allows you to build like back end tools for like anything basically. I don't know.
So I think that's for web applications. Just glancing at it now.
Oh yeah, you would have to. Yeah, you would have to probably do something more custom that's live on the actual Mac itself.
Right. So that's luckily the development environment that I've been using, Zojo. It makes it very easy to do, and even just prototype out, in a couple of days, have the basic interface and functionality running. And then a quick shout out though to Steve as well. This is unrelated to the project that I'm working on, but I needed something to quickly prototype some wireframes, and I was using Figma, and it was just I'd used it once before, but a long time ago, and I think it reminded me there, Sven, you mentioning every time you get sent a Figma file, like what the hell's going on here with the interface? And I was feeling the same way. I started watching a 20-minute YouTube video and speeding it up. I'm like, I just want to, like, where the hell's the artboard? Things like this. So I asked them, I know you've done, and I didn't want to download Adobe XD, and get back all into that. So I asked Steve.
Which is what you recommended last time.
Yep. So I asked Steve what he's been using, and he told me about Whimsical.
Yeah.
And I never used it before. Created an account, and within 10 minutes of going to the website for the first time, I already had the wireframe that I wanted done and completed.
Yeah, it's a sweet app. They're real clean.
Cool.
So can I maybe just something occurred to me. Have you guys seen, especially this kind of modern social media platforms? I recently installed Twitch because there is a DJ who plays on Wednesdays, and he dresses himself up as an astronaut and cool music, right? But what it's interesting about Twitch is that you have these comments, like also with YouTube Live, you have the stream live. Random people can come and comment, and you see all the comments popping up on the screen. I've always wondered whether those users are real or not. But most of it's part of the fun to be on a live stream, that you see that thing going on. Also, some people they can give rewards that I think are monetized by the platform. Like you can give special icons and so on.
Yeah.
But also something that I've never seen, for example, would be, could we use that, just a random idea, as a crowdsource stuff, right? Rather, you can give out okay, this is what I mean. It's like, what if we could give tasks to those people listening to the live stream? Like as simple as what's 1 + 1? And if you answer the right thing, you get the reward, not the guy who is streaming, but the guy, right? So reversing it, so giving the rewards to the participants of the live stream. So what do I mean? Or maybe that opportunity there would be to outsource all these labeling tasks or whatever it is that you need to do. Let the crowd do it, and whatever, have fun with the live streamer.
Yeah, I was thinking outsource like some DJ. Have fun while doing monotonous work.
Yeah, I mean,
exactly. Right.
Or a magician.
Or a Jenga builder. Yeah.
Your audience would be the streamers, though, right? Your users, because you would have to convince them to kind of offer your tool, and you would have to pay more than what they would already get as donations, basically.
Yeah, you have to figure out that business model.
Yeah, like it's a little bit tricky, yeah, from a business model perspective, because you need also from an implementation probably, because you need to plug into the platform somehow, and then both educate the streamer and the user about why they are doing that, right? Or of course you sell it to the platform itself. Then great.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
Could you make an app for Twitch? Do they have like an API where you can like insert or plug in apps to your Twitch stream?
Yeah, probably something. Apps, plugins. They probably have something. Such a big company. I have not once used Twitch, I have to admit.
Me either.
It's weird.
Give it a try. It's fun, man. It's fun. But anyway, okay. So maybe just a thought. Maybe let's think about it. We can maybe have a joint project to think about later on.
Yeah, that one seems scary to me. That one seems huge. I'm more in the extremely small project where I can wrap my head around doing it in a couple of days kind of world right now.
I'll try to brainstorm.
Emmy, how's the world of upcycling going?
It's good. I was supposed to get my materials from my partner, but St. Louis is a mess right now with the weather. But I have my prototypes of dog beds are all done.
Oh, cool.
And just waiting to see what it is she's going to be sending me, so I have a better idea of what I'm working with.
Has anyone like, have you I've seen some posts. Has anyone like shown interest in those?
No.
No.
Not really, no.
You mean in the beds or the posts?
In the post.
Oh, in the posts?
Like have you gotten any cool conversations going on about them or anything?
I haven't really had much, no. I guess I've kind of been in a little creation, ignoring everything else world.
Doing too.
But yeah, I have not been doing a lot on outreach. Like, I mean, I've just been posting on Twitter where I have 15 followers, so it's not like anybody's ever going to see that. Yeah, I really need to get back on the ball and set some goals for myself. But I have been making cool stuff, and I figured out this kind of method of, so I'm calling it zero waste upcycling, and this just happened like just today that I came up with this term. But it's basically like when you upcycle something, you're just using part of it usually, but I'm taking all the different parts that normally would be thrown away or recycled or whatever, and making something else out of them. So I'm working on these like rugs.
You want to show 'em?
Yeah, but it's over there.
Can you pick it up and bring it in front of the camera?
Yeah, but I have to get up and take my headphones off. Okay, I'll get it. Hang on.
It's a very visual product, might as well.
So this is like the last stage of what a textile can be. So this is made of all just strips of lightweight fabric. So that's basically like anything, you know. So stuff that's stained, has holes, any of that, or scraps from other projects. Like I'm thinking I'm gonna build it into like kind of the brand identity that's how stuff works. Like when we get textiles, first we see if they can be turned into the beds or clothing or something, and then the leftovers from that, if they're a certain size, they'll be turned into patchwork, or I can't even remember what my other thing was. This? Yeah,
The rug.
patchwork or the rugs. And then all the little like tiny baby scraps get stuffed into the dog beds. So it's like everything's getting used.
That's cool.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's interesting.
Yeah, I agree. Especially from a marketing perspective, that's going to be huge, or could be, especially if it's not a term which is used yet. That'll be super cool. Kind of you're claiming that term in a way, or coining it at least.
I haven't
that will
found.
be fun.
I just did a quick search earlier and I didn't find anything. It just brought up, like, of course, a bunch of things that have the words zero waste and upcycling in them, but nothing that's like zero waste upcycling.
That's awesome. Yeah, you should definitely start using that hashtag on Twitter. Start small, but
I mean, I'm sure there's like the upcycling groups that I'm a part of course, they're always saying like keep your scraps and then use your scraps to do this, but like taking that a step further and just really having nothing that we're putting into the trash.
So
And get the domain now.
yeah,
right.
honestly, just putting a name to it is huge, right? Like you heard me last time in the coffee meeting talk about the passion economy, right? Like where once you have names to things, people can talk about them, right? And the conversation becomes much easier. It's like, sure, we know like we shouldn't waste, kind of, right? But like if you actually have something which becomes a movement or just a topic, that it makes a big difference.
And there's people who post like, I turned this tablecloth into a tank top. And I'm like, but a tablecloth is 7 feet long and a tank top is 1.5 feet long. Like what'd you do with the rest, So that's my thought process.
So besides, let's say, clothing or blankets, and let's say for pets and stuff, I mean, textiles are flammable, right? So maybe it was coming back to the barbecuing thing, fire starters, right? For example, if I would find a fire starter that would be, let's say, cheaper than the fire starters in the market, that it's made out of recycled materials, I think that would be also perhaps, let's say, a non-clothing derivative of these scraps.
Yeah,
I think,
that is interesting.
Yeah.
I also saw
guess,
someone
of course-
recently making paper, like
Okay.
getting the little scraps down into pulp and then like straining them to make paper, but that seems really inefficient. So
see. Right. So I guess the interesting piece here would be to figure out a fire starter that, let's say, would last for 5 minutes, right, with flame. So probably you need some sort of binder or flammable material that would keep the fire going, not just smoke, but actual fire.
And you'd have to know the fabric content of everything because you can't risk having something
Right.
plastic in there.
Right, exactly, and also this whatever resin that you would use, also like food, like the how you call it, the food safety and all that stuff. But,
yeah, that would be easy actually. I think the content in the original fabrics would be a bigger question because you could just use paraffin, like wax, right? Which is, I think, what my parents primarily heat with wood still to this day, and they use like. Basically, I think it is sawdust and wax.
Right.
And it actually works really, really well. So like an analogy to that, right? Like I like that idea, but because the other question always is, if you upcycle but you add twice as much money in other materials than what you are putting in from that scrap T-shirt, does that still make sense? Because like it needs to be economically better than buying a new T-shirt, right? So now if you used an old T-shirt but you bought $20 in materials to turn it into, I don't know, an oven mitt. I mean, did that make sense, or should you have just bought a regular oven mitt at that point? That's always a big, my opinion, a big question, where upcycling for the sake of saying I upcycled something is not really valuable, right?
And I guess the other piece too is like if you're creating products that actually, I don't know, it depends, I guess, on your focus and branding, but if products that actually harm the environment, right? Like, that's another thing to consider.
You could also just buy large shirts and make very tiny shirts for dolls.
yeah.
Like get like the biggest shirts you can get, and then for the smallest breed, that'd be desirable. That's how they make toothpicks, right? Like one per tree.
Oh my gosh, I have no idea.
And then after a while, you collect all the small ones and then knit them together to make one big shirt.
It's a valuable use of my time.
That's funny. So I guess I'm last. No real movement on. Well, actually, it's not true. There a little bit happened at CoinDrop. I did talk to Mike. You guys remember Mike? He joined us at one of the coffee meetings. And he reached out again, and he said, he kind of is still interested in this idea and what my plans are. And I said, well, I mean, generally speaking, the idea was to kind of open it up, right, for contributors. Making it a co-startup, whatever that means. And that's where I'm still kind of stuck, because I think he would be interested in that. But like, how do we do that is still extremely unclear. And I have had a bunch of other stuff going on, actually, like the next cohort, which has started this Monday. And I'm already preparing for the third cohort. And then I built IndieBuddy last week. So that's kind of consumed most of my time, which also means I have to admit to myself that similar to Justin and Archie, I guess, in a way, CoinDrop wasn't really the right passion project either. It was a fun project to work on a little bit, but I don't really want to work on it anymore already. So if I find other people who want to contribute or even take it over, I think that I'll do that. I'd probably even give it away. If I get the credit somewhere or something, good enough. So that's that for.
You could sell it on what's that site, Indie Maker? I think like people are just selling like their side projects because they just don't have time for them anymore.
I could try $5 maybe.
Yeah. I'd go for 1,000. I mean, I bet you could.
I mean, it doesn't do anything yet, right?
It's pretty unique. I mean.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I guess I could try that.
Yeah.
But yeah, other than that, I think you guys are all aware I built IndieBuddy last week, challenged myself to do it in one day, more or less accomplished that. It still had bugs, of course. I actually just fixed the last bug like 2 days ago, where the matching algorithm screwed up sometimes in edge cases and matched the wrong people.
Matched me with everyone.
Yeah, the first night was bad. When I said it live, it actually didn't cross match. It just matched in one direction, and so just multiple matches happened. Basically, you already had a buddy or not. It didn't matter. No one cared. The algorithm didn't care. So I fixed that pretty quick because that was crucial. But then, yeah, it works actually. So I just had a couple of calls this week, and if people hear about it, like people randomly find it. Actually, it seems, and I have a couple of systems in place which notify me about submissions as well as connections established, and I get like 1 to 2 submissions a day maybe, and one.
How many are you up to now total?
Maybe 40 or so.
Cool.
So submissions, right? So like individual submissions, and then most of them actually match pretty quick. And I got a feedback today from someone that I might consider to make 2 skills the minimum submission, but then you match even quicker. So I don't know, but I guess that works. What I haven't seen yet is if the connections actually are established meaningfully. What I did is, you guys, I don't know if you went through, but if you match, you get an email with a template which says who you matched with and why you matched. And then there's just a connect now button, which literally just opens an email to both of you with like a predefined text. And that, of course, should go eventually into the platform that you can connect there and whatever. But that was beyond scope. And I put myself on CC on that email. If they don't remove me, sometimes I get that connection initiation request at least, because like my idea was just to let the buddies take it from there, right? Like you were matched. Hey, go set up a call or whatever. But it's working. It's doing something. Trying to figure out the business model for it, or if there is one. Had a couple of good conversations so far. Lou recommended actually to look at community builders and community organizers. Talk to Steve about that. Difficulty there is that you need someone who has a monetized community, and it makes enough money with that community to match the people. Just talked to Anthony from Indies Worldwide, actually just before this call.
Oh, cool.
As a matter of fact, he found so much value in this that he actually built something for himself, which does the same thing, more or less, which is cool. Look at that as confirmation.
He built something like Indie Buddy?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so an internal tool kind of he uses. I don't know if it's automated or not, but
well, he has been using something. I don't know what it was, because it was an email that I would get an email from him.
Yeah.
So, do you want to match this week? And then
right.
I would click it, and then it would set that up. I don't know how he did it.
Yeah. I think as far as I understood him, I think he's doing the actual matching. He's doing manually because he is putting a more emphasis on the actual compatibility. And I don't know how he decides that, but the rest is kind of automated. That email and all of that, I think, is automated.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. So, but again, that's confirmation. I talked to a co-working owner, I guess, co-working space owner, and they were pretty interested. And they actually said it would be worth like between $1 and $3 per member to them if it actually, generates engagement, especially now that everyone's at home. So that's super cool.
Yeah.
And then, I need a couple more signals like that. And then the plan would be to make it customizable, right? So that you set your own matching criteria, like not just skills, it could be values, it could be interests, hobbies, whatever. And then you have a profile per person and all of that stuff.
Yeah, you get pretty granular with that.
Yeah, but it still is just in its infancy. Like I haven't really developed on it at all. I'm just doing customer development now for it, which actually seems to be going pretty good. Again, if I could get a customer for that, then I'll build it out. That'd be great.
How'd you get in touch with the co-starting or the co-space?
Oh, it's just a co-working space I know.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah, I just messaged them. I'll go down that route. As a matter of fact, I did message someone who works at WeWork. I think in like somewhat high up.
Yeah.
He used to be a mentor for me, or in a program I was in, and have a call with him on Tuesday.
Nice.
So he liked the idea. I don't know if he liked the idea just in general and just wants to advise on it, or if he liked it for WeWork, because that now we're talking game changer.
Yeah. You can get in there.
Yeah, I mean that'd be super cool, right? And they have a big enough community across all of their co-working spaces that this could be very, very interesting.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Yeah. So we'll see. Again, less development, more customer development, and then the rest of my time goes into co-starting, running this current cohort.
I was curious about co-starting. So have you had more kind of engagements on co-starting? I mean, how is that going? Can you share any?
Yeah, it's going good. Today I confirmed I have a firm yes for the first participant for cohort 3. I have about 4 maybes. And second shout out to Steve for today, because that was Catherine actually.
Oh, cool.
Yep, super cool.
What's she building? I didn't know what she was building.
Yeah, no-code tool. They're building a no-code platform.
All right.
Yeah, very cool. And actually, so her, as far as I understood her, it would be to launch her beta version. Actually, that would be the cohort goal.
Oh, cool.
Very, very cool. I'm super excited about that. And then, Dennis, I think, is considering it. Justin, I think you said you might. I don't know. I put you on my CRM again to follow up with you here. So expect a call soon.
Do you have a start date in mind yet?
Well, because of her, I'm targeting March 1st, but that's not a firm one. That would be the best for her because they are trying to launch the beta end of March. But again, like as soon as I have 5 to 6 people together, basically, and then whatever works for everyone.
Okay, got it.
Yeah. What else is since co-starting? I think we're running out of time on our live stream here in a second as well. Oh, yes, the second topic, which is super important, is I still think you guys should start a peer group. Hearing like the feedback on the last couple of calls we were on and now this one, and talking to you individually, I think you all basically, in one way or another, already said it, that you would benefit from having the same structure we had in the cohort with maybe just, slightly less rigid or something. What's everyone feeling about that?
Yeah, I wouldn't mind that. Just like what we're doing today, filling everyone in. And then at the end, just trying to help each other out, get like, a weekly goal, for something.
Right.
Yeah, fully agreed, because that's what I think Emmy and I were speaking about on the coffee, this past week's coffee lunch date check-in, whatever it's called. But it was about, not the cohort ended. You don't have that accountability in place anymore. The accountability you have to worry about. And like for me, like I always want to make sure that on Friday I was going to be able to demo the progress, and I'd kick myself if I wasn't able to progress enough. But now that that's taken away, the accountability is gone, and I kind of just left it to the wayside for a bit.
Yeah.
So what I was going to recommend, I actually do agree with Steve there. Like, well, the format I think you can come up with yourself. I think the point is you have an accountability group you commit to, and what I would help you guys with, if you're interested, is doing the same facilitation, right? Setting up the calls, doing the timing, like the meetings, the live streams, all of that stuff, so you guys don't have to worry about that. And then, if we do like, hey, what did I do last week? What's my goal for next week? Whatever format you come up with, I can help facilitate that too. What I wanted to propose is to make it paid. 2 reasons. Well, number 1 is because I'm a greedy pig. And number 2 is because I think it will be different if you guys have to pay something for it. Curious to see what the reaction here is.
I don't know, I got a lot of money going out already.
Good. So a little more won't make a difference, is what you're saying.
Yeah. I don't know. I can't justify it. I'll be honest with you.
Okay, so you don't think you could
like setting it up?
Value?
We could do that. we could set up our own meetings.
No, I know, but you didn't, right?
Yeah.
So like I really don't actually want to necessarily charge for it yet. Like I want to learn how like what a peer group would look like. But like the fact was 2 weeks, because leading up to the end of it, we talked about the peer group multiple times, right? And it didn't happen. And I'm not faulting anyone for it, because this facilitation is actually really annoying if you're trying to actually get work done on your projects.
Mhm.
And following up with all of you is really annoying. Like, you don't want that, trust me. But if you guys do it, then fine. Like, I think then it doesn't need to be paid. But again, I'm going by the gym model, right? Like, if you pay for the gym membership, you're more likely to go than if you're not.
I guess so. Maybe for me, I think maybe the thing would be that really no one's taking the lead, right? So in this case, if there is a moderator who really pushes people or brings people together, let's put it that way, then things happen. But maybe for us, it's probably has not been essential just to get like this and organized by ourselves. But what I'm thinking is, you remember, Sven, when we had these tech meetups, right? Like, you go to the tech meetup, but there is kind of like a pizza fee, right? Maybe you could also think of it this way. It's like, hey, if you want to be like whatever, I'll organize it every month. And if you guys want to join, there is a pizza fee, right? Like a virtual pizza fee.
Yeah.
So that way.
But that's not going to work on the 4-person group, right? Because it's only going to work if you guys are committing to be there every time.
Yeah.
Because otherwise, it's going to be unfair to the other participants, right? And yeah, the pizza fee, sure, like, consider it. I mean, I was literally thinking like $5 a month, right? So it's like $1.20 per meeting or so. And like, if you would meet for networking, you spend much more than that. But again, it's not so much about the money. I think it's just like the $100 deposit. It's the psychological aspect I'm after. So if there is another way we can do it, that's totally fine. But if you guys want to do it by yourself, let's try it. But I'm doubtful.
Look, I'm telling you, I'm not going to organize it.
I'm not going to do it either.
But I will say too that the psychological aspect, though, especially when you boil it down that way, because that's exactly what I would do if it's $5 per month. I'd say, okay, it's $1.20. Well, I can miss this week because I don't care about $1.20. But if it was a deposit of $100 per meeting, then I'd say, well, I'm not going to fucking miss this, and I'm going to make sure that I have progress to demonstrate.
I mean, hey, I'm cool with that.
And to be clear, a deposit. So
sure.
If I attend, it's returned back.
Yeah, sure. But if you're not, it's not.
Starting.
My chances to win more money here are bigger than with $5 a month.
Interesting.
I mean, so we have 2 no's on the organizing. So actually, we're going to say goodbye to the live stream here real quick, because they're going to cut us off in a second. But we continue this and hash out, and we'll give in the next coffee meeting or so, everyone an update if we came up with a structure for the first peer group.
All right.
I think. So.
Hasn't this been over an hour that we were live?
An hour and